Welcome to Blaze World. We're at the SAE Institute in Leamington with their students asking the questions, hosted by the lovely Alex Reid, where she's studying content creation and marketing here at the SAE Institute. And also joining me are lucky number 13, Grayson Constable from the Coventry Blaze.
Welcome. Absolutely lovely to have you here. Thanks for willing to be a part of this. So we have two hats here directly in front of you guys. One is your hat, Grayson,
Perfect.
And one is yours, Luke.
Okay.
And we're going to do it where you pick a question and then I'll ask you the question that's associated with that number.
Ooh, pressure.
Okay, I'm going to get you to pick one now, Grayson.
Go with 6.
How do you find the transition when the season ends and you go back home to family?
It's actually quite nice. I mean, it's a little bit different. This is my first time playing hockey professionally over in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I did my last couple of years in the United States. So, I mean, there was still a decent amount of distance between my family and I. So I wasn't seeing them all the time, but definitely tough being over here. They came once for Christmas, which was super nice. But I think they're 7 hours behind us. So you don't really get to see them or talk to them that often, which is unfortunate. But it's really nice to go home, unwind, spend a lot of quality time with him that you've missed on. But they're super supportive about the decisions that I've made to come over here, and they love it.
Awesome.
We've got some family in Scotland, actually, so we've kind of reunited with them, which has been great. But going home kind of sucks being away from the guys. But then again, it's like we're basically working from the end of August to April when we hopefully win a championship. So, I mean, it's a long time. So it is nice to unwind and go home for sure.
Okay. So is it strange then going from playing full-time hockey to having an ordinary job?
Yeah, I would say it is. It's something you have to get used to. I mean, my job for me right now is getting to hang out with 23 of my best friends all the time. So it makes it really easy. And then going home, it's quite more relaxed. But I like to play golf and unwind, and I'll do the odd side job at home if I have to.
What is your lifestyle like over the summer period then?
The last few summers, I normally work for the city from where I'm from. So I'm from a small town, Lethbridge, Alberta in Canada. And it's funny, a lot of the times my friends that play hockey kind of like I do through college and professionally, we all go back home and we work labor jobs for the city. And me and my best friend back home, we actually paint crosswalks and stop bars for the city. So
wow.
We basically watch paint dry from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. And then you have time to train in the afternoon, and it's actually quite nice. So we spend our time outside, which is good.
So do any of your fans see you doing that? They must come up to you if they do.
We do. You get the odd person to honk at you and whatnot, but it's quite relaxed.
Oh, I'm going to go with you, Luke.
Okay. So you got number 2.
Mm-hmm. So we know that you've played ice hockey yourself.
Yeah.
What positives do you think this brings to the podcast?
Well, I think it brings a lot to the fact that I know the game a little bit. So obviously when we talk about it, when there's fouls being taken, I understand them. But at the same time, when I do with my podcast, I try to my best to be involved about the game, to talk about the weekend games. But obviously I always want to, my main attention here is about the players here and getting to know the players a little bit better for the fans and stuff. So, but yeah, I say the positives are just knowing the rules, definitely.
Okay. So then do you teach a bit about, like you were saying, do you teach a bit about the game so people actually know what is what? Or is it more, like you said, focused
it's more
on the players
to
itself?
Be fair, it's more focused on the players. That's what I want it to be, because we have a great fan base at Coventry, and they always want to know what the guys do on downtime. Like you guys have asked already, how do you calm down after a game? How do you do? And these things, what we don't know about enough. So it's good to give that insight so the players can kind of share that with them. And it's something where some people might feel a bit awkward asking them after they've just played a game and they're tired and they don't want to bother the lads. And so instead they bother me to ask Grayson probably.
Okay, Grayson, let's get with it.
With 1.
Ooh. Have you heard about the ice hockey romance book, Icebreaker? How do you feel about it attracting more female fans to the sport?
I've heard about it. Personally, haven't read it. I think it's an interesting take. I mean, I think hockey's for everybody, so it's really cool to have more female viewers. Yeah, like I said, I haven't personally read the book, but yeah, I think it's good. I think it's really good.
Is it something that you would read then?
Maybe. Possibly. From what I've heard about it, I'm not sure if it's quite up my alley, but
So you purposely not read it. Okay, so how do you cope with putting boundaries in place with overeager fans?
yeah, you tend to get used to it, but it can be tough sometimes for sure. I mean, after long games or long weekends, you know, it is part of our job to interact with fans, and we love it, but there's times where, you know, it's, say this weekend we had 2 tough games, and then you have to interact with fans, and you obviously want to be as positive as respectful as you can, and sometimes they'll like to not push the boundaries, but maybe feel like they're owed something, which I get. I mean, you're a fan, you pay for tickets and you support us no matter what. So yeah, it's a little take and give, but I mean, everyone here has been really great. I've never had an issue with, you know, somebody.
Are you just saying that now because I'm serious?
Except for him. Nobody crosses any boundaries. Everyone's been really, really nice, especially coming over here from a different country. Everyone's really respectable. And I mean, everyone's just been super kind, which I really like. And it makes coming over here so much easier and wanting to go to the rink and even just play for the fans.
So what about when you're out with family? I know you must have a partner. When you're out with her, probably having some food or dining. Do people then interrupt and decide to, do you know what I mean, not think about your boundaries at that moment and not think about like, this is my time to spend with my family?
Yeah, I mean, my family's been over here before, and we really haven't had any issues with that. I mean, got stopped at Costco once for a photo, but that's awesome. I mean, I love that. I think that's great.
Is it the same back home?
Not quite as much. I mean, I haven't played back home in years. So, I mean, I was in New York last year and I was in Boston 3 years before that. So a little bit different, but I think the community here, they really love the Blaze. So you definitely get noticed more. Okay. Which I think is super cool. I mean, as a kid, I always wanted to be, you know, playing professional hockey and kind of getting to have those interactions, and now being there, I'm super grateful for it. And like I said, everyone's so nice, so it makes it so much easier.
Good. Great to hear. Luke, we're back to you, sir.
3.
If you could have a dream sponsor for your show, who would it be?
Greg's. No, to be on a serious note, I'd probably have to say there's a really good ice hockey company. Well, I have to shout out to them. Is Willys. Willys in Coventry are a massive hockey franchise, really. They've got shops in Coventry. They've got shops over in Nottingham now. They've just opened a new store. So it would be pretty cool if Willys reached out.
Grayson, back to you.
At 5.
Do you have a favourite ice hockey movie? If so, which one and why?
I mean, there's a ton. I grew up watching the Mighty Ducks. I don't know if you guys have heard about that over here.
Yeah,
I haven't. We've talked about that.
We've talked about that. We had this conversation.
But I would say for myself, it's a movie called Young Blood. Yeah. It's an American movie about a young kid that wanted to play hockey and ends up playing junior hockey for his hometown. And it's quite cool. I don't know really why I picked it, but yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites for sure.
Would you say you see yourself in that?
Maybe. There's a little bit of like a romance to it too. So I don't quite know, but
no, he's Top Gun. Top Gun. That's the movie you were in. Yeah.
And let's go for another one then, Grayson.
Sure. 7.
We notice on social media that hockey players often arrive at the game smartly dressed in suits, shirts, like you're going to a formal event. Why is that when you're going to change out in casual kit to play a game? Are you made to dress like this, or is it a personal choice?
We're made to dress like that, but the reason behind it is I know they've done it in the past for years and years going to games, but it's always just been kind of a thing. It's funny that you bring it up. Like, I've never really questioned it either. Like growing up, oh, you got to wear a suit. I'm like, okay, yeah, perfect. And it was kind of cool to, you know, getting to dress up as like a younger kid going to a hockey game. And I get to wear my suit, look good, you know, that kind of thing. Exactly like the pros, for sure. So I think it was kind of that a little bit of a cultural thing to do that, but also we want to be professional in what we do, rather than, you know, showing up in like shorts and a t-shirt, which is fine. But for us, it's just, it's professional. Look good for the fans, look good for the program kind of thing. So.
And you, Luke?
Okay, cool. So that's the right way. 6.
We know you often ask players on the podcast, what superpower would they have? But what would yours be and why?
So what I do for a living when I'm not doing the podcast, I'm a dog trainer. I could have Dr. Doolittle's power. My job would be so much easier. Obviously, when you're a dog trainer, it's part about reading body language, what's super important. But if I could speak to animals and they can just tell me and I can listen to it, like Eddie Murphy did in Dr. That'd be awesome. That would be my superpower.
I love that. And go for it again, Grayson. Let's see what's next for you.
3.
What is your daily training resume like? Do you have to follow a specific diet?
Diet, not so much. I think just being at this age, you get used to having a habit of what your body needs. And you get accustomed to it. I mean, we have some young guys on the team like Brindley Caps, who's 17. So you kind of have to show them the ropes of, hey, you should maybe be eating this before game instead of that, whatnot, which is quite normal for the young guys. But no, you get into a habit and it just, you stick with it. I mean, whatever works. I mean, I've got a pregame meal. I eat chicken and rice pretty much all the time. It does it for me. But yeah, our basic training would be, we get Mondays off because we play Saturday, Sundays. So you get Monday off, and then Tuesdays, Thursdays, you'll train in the morning and then you'll go to the gym right after. So that's fairly strict, but we have a routine. Like I said, you get used to it, which is nice. We have, a great staff too for building these programs for us. So say if we play a Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, they'll make adjustments for, Luke, you played 24 minutes tonight. We're maybe going to dial back a little bit on your lifts this week, just for a little bit of recovery. So they do a great job.
Okay.
And it's a really solid program.
That makes sense. Do you need to be like a specific weight or anything like that?
Well, I like to have a little bit of corner weight, so I try to put on as much as I can.
All those points you've been getting.
Really depends on the person. Some guys feel like they play better light, or complete opposite. So it just depends on the person.
Oh, Grayson again. You just said something that's made me want him to pick a specific number.
Oh, okay.
Let's hopefully see that he picks this number now.
Down that 4.
Ooh. You actually did pick it. It worked. Are all of your teeth real?
Oh, all my teeth are real. Yeah, they are real.
Fighting seems to be a regular occurrence in ice hockey. Why do you think players get so physical with one another on the ice?
It's the passion.
Yeah, there is a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And sometimes that will just boil over. Or say if something happens during a game that, something happens to a teammate and you don't like it, you don't stand for it. You'll do what you have to do. But yeah, I think that's something about our sport that's really cool that a lot of other sports don't have, is there is that aspect of not only do you have the security from the referees, but also between the players. So I'm not going to go out there, trying to hurt people because I know that there could be repercussions, right? So it's almost like a mutual agreement that you have, that it could be there, and it, things could happen. So I mean, that it definitely is on the table, and it's something that you do think about, which I think is pretty cool in our sport. But
So what was that last fight about?
Basically got into a collision with somebody, and one of their teammates didn't like it. So he came up and asked if I wanted to have a go. And I said, sure. So not sure why. It might have been the biggest guy on the ice that came after me, but
good old Tetlow.
Yeah. But no, he was actually a good guy about it. Once things were over, he said, hey, you good? And I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm tired. He said, okay, perfect. We'll end it here. And then basically just said good fight. So, I mean, the camaraderie's there and everyone's quite polite about it, but
I was just about to ask that, like, is the other team okay after altercations like that may happen? Is everything squashed at the end, or does it continue?
Depends. It depends on the rivalry too. It depends where you're at in the game, if it's close or if it's not, if it's a blowout. So there's so many things.
I could answer that for you, really.
Go for it.
Grayson, since I've been watching him this season, he's only had 2 fights, I think. And guess who they've been against? Nottingham. There's something going on there.
I don't know.
There's the rival. But they are a rivalry team to us in a sense, But yeah, it's a good rivalry.
So that testosterone just starts to build, I suppose.
It does.
Right, let's go with you again, Luke.
Cool. It's the last one, isn't it? Yeah. Number 1.
What are your plans for the podcast? Where do you see it going in the next 5 years?
So I think I had this conversation with you earlier. So ideally, the dream would be to have, I'd say maybe have like an actual permanent fixture with the Blaze itself, where I love making content as well as doing the podcast. I love doing the videos. I like a lot of that, and I'd love to see the podcast grow that much where I could get like Blaze ask me for a permanent fixture in their content creation maybe, or anything to do with, part of, anything to do with the team which involves like creating content for them really. So that'd be a pretty dream come true, and
awesome.
Making the fans happy, as that's the main thing for me.
I love that you're using different parts of, the creativity with it as well.
Yeah, I feel that because like a lot of like the reason the things I do is because the fans only get to see so much of these players. They get to see them in action every weekend, especially the ones who travel so far, and fair play to them. Pretty blessed really, where I get to do this with the players and get to know them a little bit on a personal level. And then you do feel a bit closer to the team because you get to know these guys off the ice, and then the kids, and they get to see what what's really like being a player. Like they get to understand them, and they also understand that these guys are human as well, just like us. That they also need downtime. They also like to chill out to music. They also travel, so it's just a nice insider for them and people. But at the same time, it is mainly for these fans, so they deserve it because they pay good money to see these guys, and it's just giving something back, really.
So, Luke, we're going to go for you again.
Oh.
If you could have an interview with any player, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Being a New York Rangers fan, I'd love to speak to Wayne Gretzky. I'd love to speak to Wayne Gretzky, definitely, because that guy was unbelievable. But then I say that, but then I have a soft spot for the Anaheim Ducks. And there's a player, I don't know if you heard, Timian Solani, if I think I've pronounced his name, Solani. Quality he was when he got me really into like watching the Ducks. So, but no, I'd say Gretzky definitely have to be because he's just a living legend in my eyes, definitely.
Wicked. Love that. You didn't take too long to answer that question either, so it sounds like you thought about it a lot.
It's a tough one because there's so many people out there who I admire.
Do you have any questions left in there, Grayson, or any numbers?
I don't believe I
see?
do.
We're done.
Oh, I think that's it.
I'm just going to give you one more question.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to say, if there was a weird or funny fact about yourself that nobody knows, what would that be?
Let's see. I'll give you guys this one. So I used to play an instrument. I don't anymore. But for some reason at a young age. So my mom was my principal growing up. And she told me, hey, you should get into music or something like that. I said, yeah, you know what? That sounds great. So she said, all right, pick an instrument, whatever you want to do. And I think, I'm not sure how it came to be or why I even made the decision because I regret it now. But I decided to play the baritone, which is a small tuba. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I feel like I could have gone a ton of different ways. Exactly, yeah. And been happier. And
could have a guitar or a drum.
So for some reason, I decided to pick a baritone. So I stuck with that for about 3 years and called it a day. But yeah, that's my fun fact about myself is that, I mean, I would still know how to play it now.
I wish I had one.
I still wish we had one right now.
And put you on the spot. That doesn't come back to haunt me at some point. But
end of season rewards, man.
Yeah, great. Please don't.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I've actually really enjoyed this interview.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
It's great.